everybody, and welcome to another episode of the HatsOff Podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Ray, CEO of 17 Hats, and I am so excited to talk to you today about perception. Yes, I said that word, perception. How you and your business are perceived by your leads and clients and the community around you, as well as your competitors. A lot of times we don't think about this. We know about our business. We know, the ins and outer workings of it. We know we've built the website, we built the social media accounts, but we never think about how's everybody perceiving all of this? When people look at our website, what do they think? What do they do? When they look at our social media account, what is their first impression? The words that we say, how we dress, how we show up. How are people perceiving us? And what's important about that? How do we take that information and make changes in our business that is for the better? So the first part of perception I want to talk about is perceived value. So if you listen to the podcast with Joey Thomas and I, we talked a lot about a value and perceived value. But diving into a little bit about perceived value, it's super simple. When somebody looks at your business, how much do they think it's going to cost? What is the value, financial value, but also, any other type of value that they're going to get from their business, right? Joy, happiness. What is the actual value? It might not be monetary, right? That they're going to get from your business. So the perceived value, I think, is so important to take in and to understand, because then you start to get into the mindset of your ideal clients. So I have some notes, which is why I'm looking down here instead of looking at the camera, because I want to kind of go through this with you and make sure that we can get everything correct. So when we start talking about perceived value, I think it's so great if you can look at your website and do this, or your website, your social media, any place you show up, from your office, any place a client sees you, and kind of rate yourself, right? When somebody looks at your social media or your website, are you affordable? Are you low cost? Are you extravagant? Are you mid-range? Are you not affordable? Are you luxurious? High cost? High class? Are you something for everybody? What do you think that they will tell themselves, or just gut think, right? What is the gut feeling or the instant thought that they see from your website? The moment they see it, what is the assumption? What is the perception that they're going to make about how your price range, how affordable you are? We do this with everyone, right? We do this with everything, every business that we work with. We will have a first impression and we'll be like, ooh, that's really expensive, or ooh, that's really cheap, right? People buy off of price a lot of times. If they're too cheap, people are going to think, oh, they're not good, so I'm not going to get them. If they're too expensive, it's, ooh, they're really, really, really good, but that's out of my price range, right? So what vibes are your social media, Facebook, if you have YouTube, Pinterest, whatever it is that you have, however you show up for your leads and clients, what is the perception that people have about your value? And does that match? Here's the real thing that we're getting to. Does that match what you want to give? Right? If you look like McDonald's, right, but are serving a high-end steakhouse, we have an issue, right? That might be why you're not getting clients. Or if you look like a high-end steakhouse, but your prices are McDonald's, that might be the reason why you're not getting clients. That might be the reason why you're falling off. People ask me all the time, I'm not converting clients. What's the reason? Oh, it can be one of a million. There's no specific, we can't hone into one specific thing. It could be this factor of just distrust. You look like one thing, but you are actually something else. People will not trust that. They will flee. They will stop. They will just get an odd feeling, right? Now, this just doesn't feel right. and they'll go somewhere else. So the first thing, look at your perceived value. What do they think? What is that first impression? What do they think you should be charging? And what are you actually charging? And those should line up. If they do not line up, then we need to fix it. We need to change the brand. We need to change our look. We need to change our feel. We need to change our wording, right? We need to make sure that those line up really, really well. The other thing, your office, your surroundings, right? I know people, very, very successful people who photograph or are vendors at very high-end weddings that drive not high-end cars, but a part of their process is renting a car for the wedding. So they show up in a Mercedes. They show up in a BMW. They show up in a so-called high-end car because they want to give that look and that feel. Those people that are having, $1 million weddings, they don't want their photographer or their DJ or their whatever, whatnot to show up in a very inexpensive car, right? That doesn't go with the look. It doesn't go with the experience. It doesn't go with who they are. So what isn't? Disclaimer, I'm not saying you have to go rent a vehicle for your services, but it's interesting. It's interesting that people have had success making sure that when they show up, they are dressed to the nine. They show up in something that is, high end because they are a high end luxury brand. And so everything about them, from their shoes to their makeup, to their clothing, to their car, is high end luxury. So think about what you're offering and think about your office, your surroundings. When people see you, if you meet people at coffee shops, what coffee shops are you meeting them at? All of that is going to give up a vibe every place you show up at. So you need to look at also your surroundings and see what the perception is that you're giving. And then the other thing is looking at yourself. And I know this is the hardest part because we hate to look at ourselves, and sometimes we're overcritical of ourselves and sometimes we're undercritical of ourselves, right? I believe that there's a healthy medium there of giving yourself feedback and learning and being in a learning mindset to but not destroying yourself, right? And giving yourself grace, right? You might know that, hey, we need to change and we need to learn and we need to grow, but it doesn't mean it necessarily has to happen overnight. Being aware that you need to grow is, I think, always the first step. Okay. But giving yourself feedback, looking at you, seeing how do you show up? Do you show up in a professional manner? The words that you say. I had somebody I coached that did not understand why she was not closing deals, but every other word was she was dropping like an F-bomb, right? So she was not showing up in a professional way for the client she was trying to attain. There are some clients that you can drop the F-bomb every other word and they'd be okay because that's just their world, their space, but she was not in that space. So the space that you're in, what is their perception of you? How do they perceive you? And does that need to change? And is that equal to what you are trying to deliver upon? What words do you use? How do you dress? How do you greet people? How do you tell people goodbye? How do you interact with people through your experience? Right? I've seen people be amazing at their craft, but to be harsh and cold and rude, and people don't want to work with them, right? Because they want to have a good experience. They don't want to work with somebody who's harsh and cold and rude. So what is the perception of you and how can you change that? Again, don't beat yourself up over it. Just think about it, right? And see if there's something that you can change. So perceived value, perception, making sure how they perceive you in your business, your office, your social media, your website, your brand, all of it, and what you're actually delivering needs to be the same. Otherwise, there is mistrust, and mistrust is going to lead to less conversions. So if you're not converting, think about this first. That's something you for sure want to do. The next thing I want to talk about is perceived availability. Okay. perceived availability. How available are you to take new clients? And this is something I feel like we put our foot in our mouth a lot of times, because people ask us, how are you doing? How's the business? And we're like, oh, we're great. We're so busy. We're so busy says I'm not available. We're too busy to take on new clients, right? I did a podcast about this a few weeks ago as well. So your perceived availability, what is a perception people have about your business? Are you always available to anyone and everyone? Will the business work around the client schedule? Are you too busy to offer a great experience? This is a thing. People will be like, I mean, think about going to like a shopping center, and you want to go shop and you want to have a great time, and you see that store is just packed, right? You're not going to go in there because you want to go in and have a relaxing time and a good time. And you're like, oh, that is too busy for me to have a great experience. They might not say those exact words in their heads, but they're thinking it. If it's your busy time and you are telling the world that you're too busy for them, they're going to back off. Oh, I'll think about it later. I'll do it later. But the moment they said they'll do it later, they're more than likely going to fall off, right? Because it's not going to become important in their life anymore. You can book. Are you a you can book the day before person? Do you only take the best of the best clients? So are you exclusive? Are you too busy to take them as a client, right? How are people perceiving you? Do you have to book early to get in? However people perceive you, and this might take a little while to figure out, and to figure out what your clients are thinking, but you need to make sure, what do you want it to be? Do you want to be exclusive? How are you going to get that message into your brand? Do you want people to know that they can book you at any hours of the day? Like, give me a call and we're going to be on it. That needs to be into your brand. So how are you going to put your availability into your brand, right? I know some of you are seasonal. And if that's true, let's say you're really busy in the fall, right? And that's a busy, busy, busy time. How can you get people to start booking you early? Because once they get into fall, they're going to see that you're busy. They're more than likely going to go somewhere else. So if you're perceived as busy when people are booking you, right, during that seasonality, how can you get them to book earlier? If you are busy and you're constantly posting on social media and you're constantly showing how busy you are right now after you've been dry all summer, what do you need to say to tell people that, hey, you're still available? So it's just important to keep this in mind as you go through those busy seasons and even those slow seasons of letting people know that, hey, you are available. You are booking for, it's springtime right now. You're already booking for fall. You're already booking for next spring. And you can't just say it once. You have to say it multiple times, right? Especially in today in the world of social media. There's all different things that you can say. And again, I have some stuff written down that I'm kind of going through with you all. I'll be taking new clients this month. In 2 months, I will have availability for 6 new clients, right? 6 spots open, grab them before they're gone. How can you create urgency? Grab them before they're gone. I have X number of spots open. Creating urgency is another great way of helping mold people's perception of your availability. Beginning this summer, we're excited to offer X, Y, and Z, right? So you're telling them when we're going to begin, when we're going to start. We're starting to prime them. It's another thing about availability and getting people to get excited about booking with you is, how are you priming them? How are you getting them ready to book you? Most people don't go, right? If you think of the marketing funnel, most people don't go from heard about you to booking you all within a day, right? That's not typically how it happens. But how can you prime them? How can you plant the seeds of booking? So that's perception of availability. If you're constantly, I think this is the big takeaway. If you are constantly going around town saying, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy, it's the grind, I'm busy, so much stuff to do, so much is happening, but it's good, I'm excited, the business is growing, they're going to be like, oh, she's too busy, let's go somewhere else, right? Make sure you're not giving off that vibe. Make sure you're not giving off that vibe. Okay. So that is perceived value. That is perceived availability. The other things, the other perceptions that I think are so important to kind of look at is your business type. Are you exclusive? Are you high end? Are you boutique? Are you somewhere in between? Knowing that. And of course, we talked about your affordability, your availability. But the other thing I want you to look at is your business personality. Your business personality. So this talks to your brand and your tone. If somebody looked at your website, would they be like, oh, this looks like a fun place? Or would they be like, oh, this looks very serious? What is the tone? What is the vibe that you're giving off? And do you match that? If you are, if your vibe is super fun and quirky and high energy and you show up not being that, again, there is a distrust there. So whatever vibe you are giving off on your website, on your social media, you need to make sure you're showing up that way as well. So are you all business? Are you affordable yet relatable? Are you trendy and modern? Are you simple, right? Are you more of a side hustle vibe? Are you family owned and operated? What are you when it comes to this business personality that you have? If your business could be a person of its own, what personality would your business have? And for many of you, you're solopreneurs. So the business personality is your personality, and that's okay. I know so many people starting off that's like, oh, I don't want my business to be my personality, but you're the figurehead of your business. You're the one out there on the streets. You're the one they talk to. You're the one that they look up to. You're the one that they're looking to as the professional. Your business is your personality. And if you have not embraced that yet, go for it, right? I highly, highly recommend it, because then you're not trying to be something you're not, which is the worst in business. You should always be who you are. You are going to find people that that relate to you, right? You just are. So I always recommend you be who you are in business. The last thing that I want to throw out here when it talks about perception is values. What your values are. I think we talked about this in another podcast as well. I see some businesses that value religion and they put it all over the website, and that's amazing because they're going to find other people that also value religion. I see people who value just honesty, love, hugs, just loving people deeply and wholeheartedly, and they're going to find people that value that as well. You don't need to pick 1,000 different values. Of course, we all have 1,000 different values. We're honest. We are active. We love people. We value just communication, right? You can just name thousands and thousands of different values, but really your brand just needs to pick 2 or 3. And you need to talk about those values. You need to believe in those values. But if your clients were looking at you as a business and saying, hey, I think their values are X, Y, and Z, would that match? Or do people even get values from you, right? Do people even get values? Like one of the things, because when I was doing photography, one of the things that I valued most is generational photography, having photographs that you were able to pass on to people to from generation to generation, from person to person. That was a value that I had. I believed in being able to document the stories of one generation and put it in a story format to give to the next generation. So that bit of heritage, that bit of family is passed down. That was something I truly believed in, something I truly valued still to this day. And so all of my products, everything I said, all of my branding, everything I did was wrapped up in that storyline. So when people came to my website, it wasn't just about the photography. It wasn't just about the business side of it. It was about this passion, this value in life and my business that I believed wholeheartedly in, which is why I was in business. It was my why. So when you look at values, you start thinking about, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why am I showing up? Why am I giving this gift? Why am I serving? Because usually it's much bigger than just for money or because you want to own your own business, right? Or because of the schedule or whatever or whatnot. There's usually something that's really pushing you and really driving you. And a lot of times that is wrapped up into your values. So what are your perceived values that your leads and your clients have? Anybody visiting your website and social media? And what do you actually value? And how can you put them on the same playing field, right? How can your brand encompass that value and push it out into the world? So those are a few things that I want you to think about with perception, okay? Your perceived value, your perceived time, your values in general, your brand personality. When people show up, what is their first impression? When they work with you, how do they perceive you? And making sure that both of those are on the same playing field, making sure that they are even. So it doesn't feel like there's smoke and mirrors, that it all becomes a smooth journey. Because every time one of those things doesn't line up, what they perceive versus what they get, that's a mental hurdle. It's a mental hurdle. It's a mental road bump. And every time they go through a mental hurdle or a mental road bump, that is creating distrust. And you need to eliminate as much distrust in your business as possible. Hope you learned something new. I hope that gives you something to think about for this week. Otherwise, everybody have a good day, and I'll see you next week.